The Garmin Varia is a piece of safety gear that I swear by now. This is the Garmin Varia 515, which is the radar and blinking taillight. If you're not familiar with the Varia, the radar lets you know when traffic's coming up behind you by giving a signal to your head unit. So again, this is the 515, blinking taillight and radar. This is the 715, blinking taillight, radar, and a built-in camera. I've done reviews on both of these. I'll link those in the description below. Now we've got a competitor on the market, actually two competitors, the Magene L508 and the Magicshine SEEMEE 508, which actually is the same thing. This even says Magene on it. So these are co-branded, they're partners. This is the first time I will have seen these out of the box. It compares to the 515 because this does not have a camera built in, so it's the radar and blinking taillight, just like the Varia 515. I love being in the Garmin ecosystem. I have never thought about venturing out and trying a different product, but I'm kind of curious how these work. So these are less expensive. So the Varia 515 is about $200. These retail for around $130. So is it worth saving 70 bucks? We're gonna find out. Before I take these out of the box, let me just talk about a few stats to see how these compare on paper to the 515. As far as brightness, the Garmin is 20 lumens when it's solid, 8 when it's in Peloton mode, 29 lumens when it's in night flash, and 65 lumens when it's in day flash. The SEEMEE 508, which is of course the same as the Magene L508, is basically 20 lumens in solid and 20 lumens in flash, 6 lumens in Peloton. So the flash mode on the Garmin is quite a bit brighter. We're going to test this on the road. How big of a difference does it make? We're going to find out in the real world. Now, in terms of battery life, you get 12 hours when the L508 is in pulse mode, 10 in flash, and then 6 in solid. Whereas comparing that to the Garmin Varia 515, again, this is advertised. Garmin says that you get 6 hours in solid, 8 in Peloton, 6 hours in night flash, and 16 hours in day flash. So it looks like you get a little bit more battery time with the Garmin Varia 515. And in terms of weight, the Garmin Varia 515 is 71 grams, and then the SEEMEE or the Magene 508 is 65 grams. So the Magene is a little bit lighter. Let's take a look at the Magene L508 first. So that's the unit. Power button is in the middle. And what's interesting is the quarter turn mount is rotated. That means I cannot really put it into my current mount. So here is the mount, pretty solid mount. It's got a shim that looks like it's adaptable for the Aero type seat posts as well. You've got 3 different size O-rings, and then you've got a lanyard, which I guess is just to keep it from falling off the bike should it ever come out. So that's kind of cool. You can just put it through the hole there at the top. And then it charges with USB-C, so that's a win. The Varia 515 is USB-B. The 715 is USB-C, but this one is USB-C, and it does come with a USB-C cable. So that's everything that you get with the Magene L508. And now let's take a look at the Magicshine SEEMEE 508, which says Magene on the top. There's the unit. The only difference is that this one says Magicshine above Magene. What else do you get? Hopefully you get a mount. Yes, you do. And the mount looks very similar to the other one. You know what? I'm not even going to take that really out of the package because I can see through this package. It is the exact same mount, of course. Before we go out and put it on the bike and pair it to the head unit, I just want to show what this looks like next to the Garmin 515. So the 508 is just a little bit shorter. Thickness wise, I'd say they're about the same. And even though this is supposedly 6 grams lighter, they feel almost identical. I can't really tell a difference just by picking them up. So by the way, one of these is going to go to one of my Patreons, and I'll go ahead and mention now, if you're not one of my Patreons and you'd like to be, I'll put a link in the description below. I'm giving away a lot of my gear that I use and test and get rid of because I don't need to keep all the gear that I review and test because I have duplicates, and this is a prime example. So again, one of these will go to one of my Patreons. All right, let's go downstairs and put these on the bike and see how they pair to the head unit. So there is the mount. I ended up using the medium size O-ring on this seat post on my gravel bike. That was the best fit. Like I said, the locking interface is rotated 90 degrees from a normal Garmin quarter turn mount. So these little shoulders are up and down, whereas on the Garmin they're this way. I'll go ahead and use the added lanyard just as a precaution. Never really felt like I needed that before, but I'll use it since I want to review everything about this. Now we'll power it on by holding down the power button for 2 seconds. And then you tap the power button again to go through the mode. So I'll show you the mode. So that's solid, which gives you 6 hours of battery life. That's flash, which gives you 10 hours of battery life. That is pulse. That will give you 12 hours of battery life. So that's the longest battery life that you get out of this as far as using the taillight. And then tap it again, and we'll go into Peloton mode. And that's just a solid light, but it's soft, so it's less lumens, so you don't blind the people behind you if you're in a group ride. So you get 8 hours of battery life there. Tap it again, that goes into rotation. That gives you 10 hours of battery life. And then you can tap it again, and that's off. And if you leave the light off, you'll get 16 hours of battery life out of the radar. So we're gonna pair this one to the 830. This is the moment of truth, right? How does it pair to my Garmin? So let's go over to sensors, and let's go to add a sensor, and let's go to search all. All right, it found a radar, 13136. Put a check mark, tap add, and we are paired. Okay, now it looks like I have to tap on the radar and go to connect. Let's go to sensor details, see what you get. Amp plus, radar settings. Okay, I can tell it which side of the Garmin I want the vehicles. So I want them on the left, multi-tones. So pretty much the same settings that I get with the Garmin Varia. All right, my test driver is getting into position. So we've got the bike propped up here, and we're going to kind of see where the car is picked up by the radar and what the radar does. So this radar will do a very fast blink when a car is coming up. It's real quick, it doesn't last very long. The 515 is a little bit different in terms of that. The blink's different and it lasts longer. So the car is going to come around the corner. He's going to go exactly 25 miles an hour. We're going to see where the 508 picks him up, and then we'll do the same test with the Garmin Varia 515. All right, so here comes my test driver. Exactly 25 miles an hour. We'll listen for the beep. All right. So that's the real fast beep, and it doesn't last very long. Kind of wish it would lasted longer. Okay, I did it one more time there. So now let's swap this unit out for the Varia 515, and we'll see where it picks up the car. We'll turn the unit off, hold it down for 2 seconds. That's off. I heard the Garmin beep letting me know that it lost the signal. We're going to use the KOM cycling mount. This thing's great. So that's the flash mode that I use for daytime riding on the 515 and the 715 for that matter. Okay, here he comes. Same speed, 25 miles an hour. We'll see where the 515 picks him up. About the same place. So the 515 is going to change blinking modes as the vehicle gets closer. It's a little bit different flashing mode. And then it goes right back to the flashing mode that it was in before. Okay, so that's good. So both units picked him up right about the same spot. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to see what it looks like from inside the car. So I've got the 515 on right now, the Garmin Varia 515, and you can see pretty far away. So that's the flash mode. We're going to keep driving past the bike. Tripod in the shot there. Okay, so that's the Varia 515. Now we're coming up on the Magene 508. So 20 lumens as compared to, I think the Garmin was 65 lumens in daytime flash. It's still pretty visible. You can see the flash mode that it goes into when the car is coming up behind it. Now, one thing that the Magene does that the Garmin does not do is it has a braking feature. So when it senses that the bike is slowing down quickly, it will come on solid. So we're going to test that out real quick. All right, so I'm going about 15 miles an hour, then I'll brake. Okay, so that is the brake feature. This is the only time I ride a bike without a helmet, just so you know. When I've got the Magene 508 hooked up to the Garmin, I do have access to the light widget, so I can change it from solid to flash to Peloton. So I tapped flash on the head unit, and that will change the flash. So it's nice that you do have access to the light widget. So I'm gonna tap solid there, and that makes it go solid. One thing I want to test is to see if the 508 turns off when I turn off the Garmin. The 515, the 715, when I turn the Garmin off, it will shut the radar off. Okay, so I turn the Garmin head unit off and the radar does not turn off. So that's one feature that I'm lacking. So I'm going to just hold the power button down for 2 seconds and we'll turn it off. All right, I'm going to give my conclusions of the Magene 508. Oh, wrong hat, sorry. All right, so my conclusions of this. First of all, I want to say that it is really cool that there is a radar option that is a bit more affordable. So if you've been on the fence about the Garmin Varia 515, and you can get the Garmin without the taillight for cheaper, but if you've been on the fence about getting the 515, which I really recommend one with a taillight if it fits into your budget, now there is one that's a bit more affordable. So I think that's really cool. So let me talk about the radar functionality, and I did not really notice any difference between the Garmin Varia 515 and the Magene 508. Now I say 508, so Magicshine calls it the SEEMEE 508, and then the Magene calls it the L508. So we're calling it the 508 throughout this video, so hope you got that already. But radar functionality, didn't notice any difference, even on the head unit. So I was using the Garmin 830. The bars went amber if the car is coming up slow, or it looks more orange to me, and then they turn red if the car is coming up really fast, and then when the car passes you and it's all clear, the bars on the side of the unit turn green. Same functionality of the Magene 508 and also the Garmin Varia 515. So radar functionality the same. The light is where they vary a little bit. So I would say that when a car is coming up behind you, the extra lumens of the 515 to me are an advantage. I like having a bright blinking taillight on the back of my bike. So the Varia 515 is brighter. Now, I did find that from a side view that the Magene was better. It has more of an angle. So you know, if you ride a lot of city type riding where you've got cars coming in on side streets and you really need a car to see you from the side, then that side view of the Magene, I found it to be a little bit better than the Varia. Not a lot, not a big difference, but it was the brightness of the Varia 515 to me was more of an advantage. The Varia has that more like strobe effect, which is really bright, and you probably saw that in the test when I was coming up in the car. Now I do also like the fact that the Garmin Varia will turn off as soon as I turn the head unit off. Now I do want to say that the Magene has a pretty cool app, so I'm just going to really quick show you the functionality of the app. And one thing in the app is you can turn on auto sleep, and that means after 5 minutes of inactivity the Magene 508 will go to sleep. That's pretty cool, but it does not turn off immediately like the Garmin. A couple things that I'll point out real quick about the app. First of all, you can go into each mode, solid, flashing, pulse, or Peloton, and you can tell it if you want the radar on or off. I don't know why you went off, but you can turn the radar off in that particular mode. On the flash mode, you can change the interval. So you can go from 0.5 seconds, really quick flash, to up to 4 seconds. Same thing on the pulse mode. You can change the interval from 4 seconds to 8 seconds. So the pulse is a slower flash, but again, you can change the interval, and then you can see the battery. So at the bottom of the screen there, battery's at 67%. That's pretty useful. And then auto sleep, I would recommend leaving that on. You can see there that it'll tell you that the unit will go to sleep after 5 minutes of any inactivity. And then when you start riding, the unit will turn on. So that's pretty useful. So the app, like I said, it's very useful and it's a very simple app to use. So that is the Magene L508 and also the Magicshine SEEMEE 508, both the exact same unit. I'll drop an affiliate link to the Magicshine version of this in the description below in case you want to pick one of these up, and you can get a discount. One last thing that I do want to mention is that for the KOM cycling mount, you can actually rotate this insert by undoing those Phillips head screws, and that way you can have this work for this unit since it is rotated 90 degrees from the Garmin. So if you have any questions or comments, drop those below. If this video was helpful for you, give it a thumbs up for me. That does help out the video. That's it for this one. Catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.